Stellar Blade Blood Rain just walked straight into one of gaming's newest beauty wars. And almost immediately, the discourse is already broken. Because before, we had arguments such as, she's too unrealistic, this is harmful to real women, she's just too damn sexy. And that's fine. We are basically familiar with this song and dance. But now, it's actually evolved. Now it's no longer just, if you like it, you're basically hurting actual women. But now it's, if this character looks youthful and you happen to like that, then you, my friend, are a PDF file. Someone needs to get your hard drive checked. I mean, just thinking about it, it's almost like, how? How, Sway? How do you jump from, I like this character because she looks young and youthful, straight into, I need a psychological evaluation? How do we go from 0 to 60 just like that? I mean, these positions aren't even in the same ballpark. And before we even discuss this further, it's important that we get that distinction down. Now, I'm going to be fair. If you actually looked at Stellar Blade's Blood Rain's latest protagonist, Evie, and you felt as though she actually looks quite a bit too young, then I'm actually with you. Because the first time I saw her as well, when you just her face, not the body, had no voice, you just see the face, you might actually think, nah, she looks a bit, she's actually like a teenager or something, you know what I mean? It's like, something about, okay, we're recruiting kids now, you know? That's actually not really crazy. Character design does communicate age. So that means that the face shape matters, styling matters, the expressions matter too, the body language matters too, but there is a massive difference between saying this character reads as young and then saying, if you like this character design, then you are a predator. It's so unfair because one is actually an actual criticism, then the other one is basically a social execution. You've already been sentenced, off to the gallows with you. No trial. And you guys know that in modern internet culture, the internet tends to skip the trial and just go straight for the accusation. And it's very easy for them to actually do this. Most of the time, especially in hobbies like comics, can be video games, could also be anime. It's like they are the perfect breeding ground for moral accusations. So almost inevitably, the conversation always never goes, let's critique the design and see where we actually agree. But it's always, let's critique the design so that we can issue a moral judgment. And another wrinkle I would like to point out here is the fact that Shift Hub is a Korean studio. And Korean beauty culture often embraces youthful adult designs. So that could be soft faces or features, smooth skin, slim frames, you know, idol-like aesthetics. And many of those women, more often than not, are actually adults, 25, 26, even older. So then what one culture or audience reads as youthful adult beauty, another culture might actually look at that and see she's simply too young. Now, this doesn't mean that every single criticism is simply fake, but at the very least, it doesn't also mean that every fan is secretly evil. You get what I'm saying? Because like it or not, if we actually lose that distinction, then we stop critiquing or analyzing controversy. We simply pick our camps and it becomes tribal. Now, in regards to the beauty trap, this is where things get super interesting because sexy Evie over here isn't necessarily walking into a standard beauty is bad kinda scene. You see, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but modern gaming has grown largely suspicious of beauty. Like, something beautiful existing needs to justify its existence when it walks into a room. It's like almost every single time a female character is designed to be attractive, people start acting as if we discovered contraband or something. Why is she hot? Who approved this? What message is this supposed to send to our young youth? These people are role models. And I'm like, bruh, it's a freaking video game, man. It is fictional. It's not a congressional hearing. And no, I'm not saying that, or every single Western dev hates beauty. But guys, let's be honest. We've seen enough evidence over the years, and even currently right now. I don't. We saw it with the latest Fable trailer. Even Gears of War isn't making their female characters any sexy or doing them any favors. Even God of War Lofe, I would argue, isn't doing his female character any justice. These safer, flatter, less glamorous character designs, they say we want to create more lived-in faces, more realistic faces. And I'm like, who says lived-in and realistic needs to be unappealing though? Like, who said that? And some will say it's supposed to match the environment, where the person is at. And I'm like, but the criticism still stands. You can still have pretty people in an environment that's harsh. It still makes sense. You can't just dismiss the argument and say, this environment is Norse and Norse can't have pretty people. It's like, what do you mean? It doesn't make sense. Why not? What stops beauty from existing in any given culture? Crickets. So I thought. And I actually like how the idea of touristification is so expansive, it covers almost everything. Because we talked about 007, we talked about God of War, and now it even applies when it comes to beauty as well. Touristification, of course, being the idea that how much of a product can you actually sand down before it loses its soul? How much can you sanitize, over-optimize, make something safer, more appealing for the mass public until that product actually loses what makes it special or unique? And now we are learning that even beauty in of itself can actually become touristified. It feels like the West has slowly touristified its projects and products to the point whereby even fantasy games no longer have that fantasy in it. It's been ripped violently from its body, and it's just a cadaver that's operating without its soul, just a husk. And that's what most gamers are actually reacting to. They may not be able to point towards it, intellectually, just point it out like this is actually what is the issue. But they can feel the sense that these products and projects are very much embarrassed of themselves. And this is actually partly why Shift Up stands out. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily because they're almost a polemic against Western games. It's not like they wake up one morning and they go, how can we stick it to Western devs? I don't think that's actually what's going on, especially in Korea. But simply put, it's just that part of gaming culture has become largely uncomfortable with the idea of beauty, such that a studio that actually embraces beauty will almost automatically be labeled rebellious. And furthermore, there's this interesting idea, still on the same umbrella of antifragility by Taleb, is the idea of what kills me makes you stronger. It's almost an inversion of the classic what doesn't kill you makes me stronger, but this time it's more of what does kill you will make me stronger. Failure in one area can create opportunity in another. So say, for example, every time a studio sanitizes beauty, basically makes it ugly for mass appeal, less controversy, what may follow is that that studio may come under heavy scrutiny and backlash from fans, perhaps sometimes to the point of by that game or that franchise may actually flop because of that. Maybe if fans just come together and be like, you know what, enough is enough. We are not supporting products that keep pushing and peddling this message. So that information becomes invaluable. And perhaps maybe another studio comes along, such as Shift Up, sees where the demand is, sees how these ideas were executed poorly, takes those ideas, executes them the right way, and suddenly Shift Up is now becoming a better and widely regarded, loved studio by the market. So they took what you might call the compost or the manure that was left behind by the failed studios and companies, and they used it to fertilize their own soil of success by learning from the failures. Now, of course, this doesn't necessarily mean that Stellar Blade Blood Rain will be extraordinary and excellent, but it does provide a lens which may explain why it tends to stand out. And of course, Stellar Blade Blood Rain or Shift Up isn't necessarily out of the weeds just yet, because beauty will get your foot in the door, but character is what will make you unforgettable. Evie still needs personality, struggles, motivation, fears, and identity to make her earn loyalty from fans. Otherwise, she becomes just another Instagram thought.